Are you thinking of making a slipcover? Today we're going to talk about what do you actually need in order to make a slipcover. I'll give you the 5 things that are must-haves, and then I'll give you a few things that are nice-to-haves. First of all, the most obvious thing is your fabric. You need a good slipcover weight fabric. And when I say slipcover weight, what I really mean is drapery weight, because most fabrics are either drapery weight fabric, upholstery weight fabric, or garment weight fabric, or dress goods. And you really want to get a drapery weight fabric. Definitely don't want to buy an upholstery weight fabric for a slipcover, because obviously your slipcover needs to be washable. That's the whole idea of a slipcover, right? So anything that says drapery weight is it will work. There are other fabrics that might be considered upholstery weight that would still work for a slipcover, but it does need to be a washable fabric. So when I'm talking about something that would be considered an upholstery weight fabric but is still washable, I'd be talking about a canvas, a twill, a linen that could potentially be a 10 ounce or a 12 ounce linen. Those could be used for upholstery, but also appropriate for a slipcover. It just needs to be a washable fabric. You also want to make sure that you get a fabric that is not too heavy, obviously, and not too thin. You want something that's not going to be see-through, because the beauty of a slipcover is that you don't have to do any tear off. You're just going to slipcover right over whatever the existing furniture is. And so if you are doing a slipcover for this dark blue chair, which this is the chair I'm getting ready to slipcover, and you use an off-white or a white fabric and it's not thick enough, potentially this dark blue is going to show through there. Or if you've got an outdated chair that has a big, bold floral pattern on there and you're wanting to use a white fabric or an off-white fabric or a light baby pink fabric, there is a chance that your underneath fabric will show through your slipcover. So you definitely want to make sure that you do have enough weight on your fabric and you don't choose something that would be really better suited for clothing. So not too heavy, not too thin. The other thing that you want to consider when you're choosing your fabric is that you get a fabric that is 54 inches wide. There are some fabrics that are appropriate for slipcovers that would be considered drapery weight fabrics that are 45 inches wide. And if you do go with a 45-inch wide fabric, then you will need to buy extra. So just keep that in mind when you're buying your fabric. Most yardage calculators and most yardage charts will base those calculations on a 54-inch wide piece of fabric. So just be careful if you do end up with a 45-inch, which these days it's hard to do because online any home decor fabric is going to be 54 inches. But I know back in the Joann's day, they did have a section of home decor fabrics that was 45 inches. So that's where that's coming from. And then you need to wash whatever fabric it is you buy. You need to wash it and dry it on high heat to go ahead and pre-shrink your fabric before you start making your slipcover. 100% pre-shrink your fabric. Even the fabric that you're using for your welt, you've got to pre-shrink this fabric as well, because if you don't and then you wash and your welt fabric shrinks up a ton, it's going to draw up your slipcover. So make sure you wash all fabric prior to making your slipcover. I've had to just toss slipcovers away before because I washed them and they shrunk because I didn't wash beforehand. So take it from me. After picking an appropriate slipcover fabric, the next thing that you need to do is make up your welt. It's possible to do a slipcover without welt. You can do a weltless slipcover similar to this chair upholstery. You could just sew your slipcover without any welt, and you could potentially top stitch to give it a more decorative or finished look to it. But having welt in your slipcover, I think does make it easier to sew your slipcover. It's just easier to feel the welt in your slipcover and then be able to sew right along next to the welt. And it also somehow strengthens your seams. When you have welt and then the 2 layers of fabric around the welt, it does make for a stronger seam, a longer lasting slipcover. I think also because the slipcover, when you have welt in your slipcover, the slipcover takes the abrasion. Not the slipcover. The welt takes the abrasion on, in place of the actual fabric. So I think that's probably maybe one of the reasons why welt is used, so that it acts almost like a chair rail does in your house, where that part of the furniture, that piece or that bit of furniture where the welt is, gets more of the abrasion than if you just have fabric with no welt. This wears out a lot faster than if you had welt there. The welt protects the piece of furniture. So I suggest using welt whenever you can. So in order to make the welt, you will have to go ahead and buy the welt cord that goes inside of the welt. You'll need to buy either you can buy it on Amazon or you can buy it from your local upholstery supply shop, but it's pretty inexpensive, so I would probably just get it at your local upholstery supply and you can get a big roll of it and it'll last you a lifetime if you're not gonna go into business. So you'll need to buy that in order to make your welt, and you've got to make up your welt before you start your slipcover. Don't do like I did and go to your first slipcover appointment without welt. Yeah, so welt, you'll need to make welt. So you've got your fabric selection, you have to make welt, you need a real good pair of scissors. So if you don't have a real good pair of scissors that you can sharpen over and over again, then just go buy a new pair of scissors. I would always suggest buying a pair that can just be sharpened over and over again, but you don't have to. You can buy Fiskars at Walmart and they work just fine. As long as people don't cut paper with them, they'll work just fine. But a good pair of scissors is good. It's good to have a good point so that you can point cut into double layers and multiple layers of fabric. So a good pair of scissors are really important. And y'all, I just wanted to say the reason why I'm making this video is because I just launched a slipcover course. It's 18 modules. I teach how to slipcover a chaise lounge with a gathered or a ruffled skirt. I cover so many aspects of slipcovering in that workshop / course that if you can do that kind of a slipcover with all those aspects, you could slipcover anything. So anyways, the reason why I'm making this video is because I have gotten a lot of questions from people as far as like, what do I need in order to do the course? Or what do I need in order to make a slipcover? And you really don't need a lot of stuff. And that's really one of the beauties of slipcovers is it doesn't require a lot of tools. Unlike upholstery where you have to tear off all that old fabric and rebuild furniture, which requires a lot of tools, slipcovering doesn't require any of that. You basically are just starting right off the bat, doing the fun stuff. Right off the bat, you're immediately transforming your piece of furniture. There's no tear off. You're just going right over the top of whatever piece of furniture you've got. So as long as your furniture is in good condition as far as structurally, and it doesn't need new springs or new cushions, whatever, you can just slipcover right over that and you just start right in on transforming it with beautiful fabric. So that's the beauty of slipcovering, is that it can be pretty fast. You could have an ugly, outdated fabric one day and the next day have basically a new piece of furniture in your living room. So that's the beauty of slipcovering, and the reason why I'm making this video, because I did have a lot of people asking me, what do I need? Can I do that with what I've got? And the answer is yes. All you need is fabric welt, good scissors, and the next thing on the list are pins. You need a bunch of pins. And I've started to use these ball point pins or pearl head. They're not pearls, but like a pearl-headed pin. I used to always use dressmaker pins that didn't have a head like this. They were just, you know, the tiny pin heads, because those you can sew over easier, but my fingers, by the end of cutting and pinning a sofa slipcover with a good thick fabric, my fingers would hurt. My tips of my fingers would hurt so bad from pushing those pins in. I decided to go with these ball-headed pins because they're so much easier on the fingers, but they're harder to sew over, so there's that. There's two more things in the must-have section of this video, and one of them is good thread. You do need to have a decent thread. Thread is more important than you think, so don't use an old spool of thread that's been in your sewing box for years. Go ahead and buy a new spool of decent quality thread. It doesn't need to be upholstery thread, but a good, decent polyester thread. If you can get maybe a Tex 40 thread, that would be even better, because with slipcovers, they do take a bit of tension on the seams, so a good quality thread is important. And then the very last must-have is a good sewing machine. I'm going to take you to my sewing machine and we'll talk about it there. Okay, let's talk sewing machines. So this is, I don't know, I guess it's sort of a debatable topic, but this sewing machine right here, it is a Bernina 1130, and like I said in a couple videos ago, I just got this sewing machine, I think in December, but I had this exact same sewing machine since 1986, and it was my mom's sewing machine, and she used it in her sewing business for 25 years, and then I got it, and then I used it since 2008. So are those numbers right? Anyway, I think this was in 1986. This sewing machine was made, and she got it brand new. Anyway, this sewing machine is a workhorse. It has made so many slipcovers. I would say that this is a heavy-duty domestic sewing machine, so you do need to have a decent sewing machine, a sewing machine that can sew through denim, 2 layers or 3 layers of denim. So that's something that you may want to test out before you dive into a whole slipcover. What'll happen is if your sewing machine can't handle it, what'll happen is it'll skip stitches. You'll be sewing and it'll seem fine, or it might kind of chug along and get bogged down type of a thing, but sometimes it won't. But when you take your fabric out, it will have skipped stitches, and you'll have like some real long stitches in there, and then short, the length that it's supposed to be, and then you might have another long stitch in there. Those are skip stitches, and that's just because your sewing machine is not able to handle that thick fabric or that many layers of fabric. So that's something to think about, or that's something to test on your machine and see if your sewing machine is able to handle the weight. Now, if you are somebody who is thinking that you might want to go into business making slipcovers, then, or if you're in the market for a sewing machine, I would always suggest checking Facebook Marketplace and also eBay. Those are two fantastic ways to buy a sewing machine. I would recommend it. I don't know, that's a debatable subject. Some people don't like to take a risk on buying something used, but if you are thinking about it, you can definitely test it out. And it's not too much to ask if you're gonna buy from somebody to test it before you buy it, you know? Just ask them to have it set up for you, and then you can bring a couple layers of denim, a pair of jeans, and just sew through it and see how it does. That's definitely not too much to ask if you're going to be paying a couple $500, $600 for a sewing machine. Test it out. And then on eBay, if you were to buy one on eBay and have it shipped, I believe there is like a guarantee on eBay. eBay does a 30-day guarantee or something like that. But I would definitely suggest a used machine. Okay, going back to that. If you're thinking about going into business, then you definitely would benefit from going ahead and buying a walking foot sewing machine. For most of the body of a slipcover, you don't need it, but where it will really come in clutch for you is when you're making cushions. It's really kind of difficult to make cushions with a domestic machine if you don't have a lot of experience. It can be difficult. It's not always. But the problem with a domestic machine is that you get the creeping or the shifting of your layers of fabric, like I talked about in the video about that. If you haven't seen that video, watch that video about fabric creep or fabric shifting and the reason for it. It's hard to avoid it, and when you're making cushions, that little bit of shifting, that little bit of creeping of the fabric can make a world of difference in your box cushions. It'll make it very difficult to get a real square, crisp cushion without the corners getting wonky and off square. Anyways, so if you're thinking of going into business, then you might want to think about going ahead and buying a commercial machine with a walking foot. Now, I see them on Facebook all the time, and you can get them for a great price. I've seen them for $100. Generally, a walking foot commercial machine on Facebook will go for $500, $600, up to $1,000. But I've seen a sale right for $600, all kinds, Consos, Jukies, all kinds. You can get a good deal on a good commercial machine. So those are the things, in my opinion, that are must-have items for making a slipcover. Well, there's one more, and that would be a seam ripper. You definitely need a seam ripper, but you can even take out your bad seams or mistakes with scissors. So that's really, I think it's a must-have. But if you don't have it right away, it's super cheap to get at Walmart. Another thing that is a nice to have for making slipcovers would be a rotary cutter and a rotary cutting mat. This is a rotary cutter, and this is my other rotary cutter, and this is a really nice to have for making slipcovers. Along with this, you definitely need to have the cutting mat. They have the self-healing ones. This one is huge. This one's 60 inches by 33 inches, so it's wonderful. It's huge, and I use it a ton. And then you also need to have a ruler for these things. So this is a whole set of things that you need to have together. But it does make cutting your fabric so fast and so straight. I use it all the time when I'm making welt. That's what I just did with this fabric. Just put my ruler down here and zip, 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 and make welt in no time flat. I use this for cutting out cushions. I use it for cutting out all the boxing for my cushions. So it does make things really, really fast. It's really nice to have, but not a necessity. You can cut everything with your scissors. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, a soft tape measure is pretty important. I would actually put this in a must-have list. But these are $1. You can get them for $1 a piece. This one's 120 inches, so I think I might have paid $6 for 3 of them, something like that. They're really inexpensive, so just go ahead and get a 3-pack of these. Anyways, I will leave links to these things in the description box below if you're interested in these kinds of things. And if you are wanting to learn slipcover making, you can certainly check out my workshop where I teach how to slipcover a chaise lounge with a ruffled skirt or a gathered skirt. I have that in the description box below, so go ahead and check out that video. And I'm gonna do a YouTube live on this Wednesday at 3:30. I'm gonna be talking about that slipcover course. So if you have any questions regarding the slipcover course or basically anything, just come to the live and you can ask me questions in real time on Wednesday at 3:30. So I'll see you guys over there.